Good evening, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to this week's Learning Live. Hope everyone is doing well today. Hope you had a good long weekend. That sunshine out there just is making me super happy, and I hope it's making you happy too. I mean, I know it means that we want to be outside and not necessarily inside crafting, but let's take it while we can get it. So totally understand if you are out still enjoying this beautiful evening and watching me on replay, but a big thank you if you are watching me live, which is fantastic. Matt's holding up. We've got a couple people watching live. So again, thank you very much for your time. We know we are entering that time of year where our live views might not be as high as we would like them, but that's okay because it means I get to craft. You can watch either live or on replay, and hopefully at the end of the day that you learn something. So tonight I don't think we probably won't end up with any finished projects, but I wanted to talk to you about a product that I am seeing lots of great uses for, and thought tonight at least we would just start with some of the basics, and then who knows where it will take us. And that is a product called masking sheets. The one I have here is from Spellbinders. Gina K also has her masking magic. Matt, maybe if we, when you have a second, you can look up the masking sheets from Spellbinders and just pop in the comments how many is in a pack and what the price point is. That would be great. Or even just throw the link in there. Actually, I can tell you the price point is $12.99, but I have lost the little cover sheet that goes with this, so I don't know how many are in here. So we'll look that up. But both products work the same, whether you're using the Spellbinders or the Gina K. Gina K's Masking Magic, there's actually two options. There is the full sheet option, which is like this one. This one here I measured, it's 5 by 7. I think that's what I measured it as. Yeah, 5 by 7. Gina's has a full sheet one, and then she has one that is already cut in strips for you. I've just already taken one of these sheets and cut it into strips, so you can use it both ways. And actually, you know, in my overlay tonight, I said I was going to show you 3 ways to use this masking paper. I'm pretty darn sure I'm going to show you more than 3 ways, some of which are just variations on each other. But we're just going to have lots of fun playing with ink, playing with these masking sheets, and creating some fun backgrounds that we can then use on our projects down the road. Like I said, probably not having finished projects tonight because I want to pack in as many techniques as possible. All right, so let me rewind all the way to the beginning. What is masking paper? Whether it's Gina K, Spellbinders, or any other brand. Essentially, it is a low-tack adhesive paper that allows you to cover things up, ink over them, possibly even paste over them, and protect your paper underneath. You are masking. You are putting a mask on your paper to keep the white, keep that base layer intact, and do some additional techniques on top of it. And it's really fun. Now, if you've ever done masking on a smaller scale, absolutely, you can use things like Post-it notes. But what I like most about these masking sheets above and beyond a Post-it note is they're bigger. So you can cover more space. You can go, you know, side to side on a card, or even use this on a layout. Whereas Post-it notes are, you know, have a pretty finite size. And I like that this is adhesive all over. I know there are Post-it notes out there that do have full coverage adhesive, but I like that this is going to cover up a lot of areas. So if you were masking something with a delicate die cut, for example, you're still going to get it to stick in place. I really think that the best way for me to show you how these work and teach you how these work is literally just to show you. So I've grabbed just a couple of colors of Simon Hurley ink. I also have a couple of distress inks here in case I get bored with these colors, but we're just going to play around. I've got some blending tools. I'm going to use the foam blenders. You can use brushes. You can use whatever ink tools that you have in your stash. And I've already started cutting down some pieces. And I've got those strips as well, but let's just dig right in. The other thing I have, if you wanted to play at home, is just some A2 panels in a smooth white cardstock. All right, bringing out my little grip mat here. Hopefully it's not too shiny. I've got my little to-do list, making sure I don't forget anything. And I'm just going to start by taking my paper, putting it down on my grip mat. If you don't have a grip mat, any surface will work. There we go, just a sip of water. Obviously, if you don't have a grip mat, you want to tape your paper down so that it stays in place, or just have a really good grip with your hands. So I'm going to just start with, I've got a strip here that I cut off, mostly because I wanted the other half, but this is a piece that I have left over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it on my card right here to create a white space and ink blend on the other side. Now, these are nice because you can reuse them. So I would say, at least while you're crafting, try to keep the backing, and getting the backing off the first time is probably the hardest thing I'm going to show you tonight. Just find that corner. Of course, it never ever works when you're on camera. Try this side now. Come on, baby. There we go. So I'm going to pull this apart. The one that has the words on it is your backing sheet. So I'm just peeling that off like that. It does get a little bit curly, but you can see that it's just got that low tack. And I am going to stick it right here. It's about 1/2 inch from the left. And I'm just going to stick it down. And then let's do, you know what, I really like this color, Remember Me. So let's start with that one and get our pad inky. And so I'm just going to do some very easy ink blending here. Again, I'm really focused tonight on showing you the masking paper, so my blending might not be as good as it could be, but you're going to get the idea. And I love the Simon Hurley ink. It's really great to build up color and keep it nice and vibrant. And then, okay, just for fun, let's switch colors and do a different color on the other side. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to pop them into the comments. I've got Matt over here. He's doing some math on something while he's watching for your comments. And then I'm just going to come in. This was Guppy. Guppy is the orange color I'm using. Look how nicely that blended. There we go. And then voila, presto changeo. You're going to peel this off. And look at that. Look at how beautiful that white background stayed. And again, I'm going to hang on to this so I can use it again. I can then take, maybe I'll take a flower here from my stamp set. Where are my blocks? Here they are. Is that big enough? Oh yeah, just big enough. And I can you know, stamp it up, add that kind of there like that. Whoops. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about a sentiment, but you get the idea that you've got this nice white area here, and it is really nice and simple. It helps you get color on your project without adding layers and without adding bulk. That is the most simplest and easiest way to go about using that masking paper. Just use it in that big strip, and you could do it the opposite way as well. So maybe what you could do is you could take your big one, put it down this side. I could take one of those strips. Let's see if I've got a long strip here. And again, you're going to watch me try and get this this cover sheet off. So now I'm going to do the opposite. And we'll go right to the edge here. And I could, and hopefully I'm straight. This is where you'd want to use your grid lines and that kind of thing. But here I am. Oh, and you know what? Okay. I think I just did a boo-boo. And this one may not be recoverable for what it was meant to be. I think this is liner sheet, not masking paper. And the reason why I know is even though I took off the Spellbinders backing, this is shiny and this is matte. So your masking paper will always have a matte finish so that you can stamp on it. And I'll show you that in a little bit. And so that it'll accept that ink without it getting on your project. So look, this one I can remove beautifully. Let me see. Yeah, nope. Yep, this was not masking paper.
So,
lesson learned, keep your paper separate. Okay, but here's how we're going to fix it. Easy. There's always a fix. I just have to find the right supplies. I'm just trimming off that extra tape. The sticky part, there is just a little bit here too because I didn't get it perfectly straight. And here's what I'm going to do. Let me find in my bag of tricks. I am looking for glitter. It's not there. Oh, I might have glitter in here. Nope, that's embossing powder. Seriously, you think I would have glitter everywhere, don't you? Okay. Colors are not going to match, but I have my pink floss or flock from Pink and Maine from a class. Yeah, maybe this won't be too bad. Glitter would also have worked if I could have found it. No. So this is now sticky. And take my flock, or you could take your glitter. And we're simply, well, I guess I could, you know what? At the end of the day, I probably could have just covered it up with paper too. Just putting some pink flock on here. It's all going to stick to that sticky bed, and it was not at all what I had planned. But there's always a solution, folks. There's always a solution. Okay, so now that I've wasted time on that, the lesson you're going to take away from that is keep your liner paper and your masking paper separate. All right. Not too shabby. Got my inked piece here. I've got my flocked piece here, and we'll see what we turn that project into. Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. masking paper. So you can do strips where you've got the mask piece down the center. You can have it off to the side. You can put it anywhere you want. We talked about doing stripes. So I'm gonna kind of cheat, and I'm gonna do a couple things on the same piece of paper. But I know these are masking paper. Again, it's got a matte finish on both sides, not a shiny finish. So here we go. Peel that backing. And I'm going to do a stripe here. And then I'm going to do another stripe once I get that backing paper off. There we go. So let's do a little narrow piece in the middle here. And let's do one more stripe. I'm going to go a little bit wider here. And then we can come back to an even wider one here. So back to Remember Me. I can go this way. And I'm just covering the whole surface with my ink. I don't have to worry about where I want it white and where I don't want it white, because the masking paper is taking care of it.
I thought somebody was knocking. That's just you.
Oh, it's probably just me. All right. Get lots of ink on there. There we go. So now we've got beautiful masked areas. Putting these somewhere safe so I can keep reusing them. And then if we want to be really fancy, we can do something like this. I'm now covering up the pieces that I've inked. And let's go there. And let's, you know what, I'm going to switch to a different color this time. I'm going to do Overzealous, which I call our, maybe a little bit limier than our PCW green. And now I can just go in these areas in between. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us, oh, look at that. And look at that. Whoop. Oh, that one I wasn't perfectly straight. I can go back and fix it another time. And there we've got some white stripes in there as well. So you can have lots and lots of fun just playing with strips. You could put one vertical and do a plaid. Depends on how much you want to play around with it. So that is using strips. But wait, there's more. And it's a good thing I've cut lots of paper. Here's the next one. So not only can you do straight cuts, you can also do torn cuts or wavy cuts. So I've got this piece here and I've gone a little bit bigger. I like having it a little bit bigger so that it overlaps a little bit and I make sure I get it exactly the way I want it. But it really is just paper, so you can tear it the same way that you would tear paper. Don't have a cloud stencil? Make your own using the masking paper. Or, so that's using tearing, or you could freehand kind of a swoosh like that. Or, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, you could use a die. If you have a swooshy die, you could do that as well. So I'm going to peel this off. Let's start with the torn side. That's the sticky bit. So I'm going to just put this here. And let's go back to overzealous. And just like this, I can create, whoops, try to keep that, because that was torn, you do have to be careful that it doesn't get too, doesn't lose the stick. But then I can move this up. Look at that. How cool is that? I can move this up now. And I can do remember me. Make sure it's stuck down. And I can come up here one more time. Look how cool that is. And maybe this time, well, if I want to finish that off, I can flip it to the other side and then do this. Look at that. Almost looks like mountains, doesn't it? And then just because I want to show the cut edge, I'm going to do this. And maybe this time I'll use Midnight Snack. Gotta love Simon Hurley and his quirky names.
Don't know what the colors mean.
And all right. Look at that. So much fun. Really create some really cool shapes. You can be super creative with how you tear it, how you cut it. And then again, you could always turn it this way or turn that masking paper. You just want to make sure if you're doing it that way that you take the longer side of that that paper in order to make sure it goes edge to edge and all the way across. Okay, so what have I shown you so far? I've shown you just...
I was going to say, you might want to do a recap because you've got a number of people that have joined late.
Got a bunch of people that just joined in. Excellent. Well, happy to recap. We'll take that moment. If you're just tuning in, welcome. We are using Spellbinder's masking paper. Now, it's the same stuff as Gina K Masking Magic. We carry both brands, so you are more than welcome to use whichever version you have in your stash or wish to purchase. It is a paper, so the one side is a matte finish, so it really feels like paper. The other side has the Spellbinder's words on it, and don't get it confused with your liner sheet. Liner sheets have a glossy background. We've already made that mistake tonight, but we fixed it. It's all good. And the main intention, as per the name, is to mask off, to block off areas of your paper with this masking paper in order to create textures and backgrounds. We've done, so this one here, we put the masking piece down the middle, inked up either side, got nice, crisp, clean edges in which to stamp on, create on, add more to. You could also do it the other way where you put your masking paper on the outside and you ink, down the middle. You can cut them into strips so that you can make stripes, and you can either tear or freehand cut some wavy lines in order to make some really graphic backgrounds. And you can overlap them. Let me show you one more thing. So you could overlap it if you really want to get interesting. So I'm going to do that. Let's go back to, actually, I'm going to do it the other way. No, I'm going to leave it that way. Go back to overzealous. And if I were to just really darken up this area here, it's going to create even more layers and dimensions. So you can keep using this and keep using this over and over again. See how it's created yet another shape there. And because these inks layer well, you are going to get that intensity of color as it builds, even if you're using the exact same color. So blocking space, creating strips, and tearing or freehand cutting some curves. Already, that's 3 ways. Oh, look, my hands are getting inky already. 3 ways to use masking paper. So technically, I could end it there, but where would be the fun in that? So the nice thing, because this is actually paper based, you can also die cut it. So before the live tonight, I took a strip and I have die cut a circle out of that strip. And here's what we can do with that. Can I fit? No, I'm going to do one at a time. So here, I'm going to take this one with the circle that has been die cut out of it. Again, try to keep your backing paper, which is the one with the words on it, because you can, at least on these bigger pieces, you can fit them back together. Those little strips that I have, I probably won't try to put them back on because, total honestly, I'll never get them straight. So those ones might be okay to just go in the trash. But these bigger ones, definitely keep, because you can use them over and over again. So here I am. I'm going to place this down on my paper. I have intentionally made the masking paper bigger than my card, just so that I've got lots of great coverage. And I feel like I want to go back to Guppy. Guppy is speaking to my heart tonight. So Guppy is this orange, and I can just create a nice circle, little spotlight here. And you, of course, can do any shape. You could do an oval. You could do a square. Maybe you've got a hexagon die that you can cut this out, or a punch. It is a paper product, so whatever you can use on paper, you should be able to use on here. So I was very careful not to get off to the side. I mean, I could. Yeah, let's do, where's my Guppy lid? Here we go. Let's go back to Midnight Snack and just come down the side here. Might as well use that paper while it's in place. Just be careful. And if you really want to make sure you don't get in here, you could put your center back into place. Come on, get inky.
You used it up so much, you got to re-ink it already?
Well, when you're using a new foam, sometimes it takes a little while to get the ink worked into that blending tool. All right. Here's the magic. Now, don't throw this circle out. That's going to be part 2. Look at that. How pretty is that? And yeah, you could go in and you could do some different things in this white area, or maybe you just do something as simple as a sentiment. So I'm going to take, this is Waffle Flowers sealed sentiments. How about a little ink and a lot of love? A little ink and a lot of love. That's what we are all about. So and because these are all flat, you can do really fun things like not put it centered. I don't know. Apparently I'm all about the sentiment or the sound effects tonight.
Apparently.
So how is that? I mean, that could be a really simple card in and of itself. You know, throw some gems on there and call it done. I'll come back to this one in a second. I want to show you one more thing. So I'm going to go back to, now I got to find out where I threw it. Here it is. I'm going to do this one up here just so I can conserve the paper. But here you can do double duty. So here I've got my mask in place. Now I'm going to take a stencil. What? A stencil? What?
You having a conversation with yourself?
I am totally having a conversation with myself. So here I've got the mask in place. I've got the stencil in place. Got my ink here. And let's look at this. And it's a little deceiving because that masking paper does have the previous color on it.
There is a question here. I don't know if you know the answer to it.
Okay.
Can you cut a design into it using the Cricut? Put it up.
My suspicion is yes. So the question was, can you cut using the Cricut? Because this is essentially paper. And what you would do is you would cut your design before you released your backing paper. It just feels like paper. So I can't see why not. You might have to try it and see what happens. If you can cut this with a die, if you can cut it with a punch, and I'm just grabbing a punch so I can show you that yes, you can cut it with a punch. I can't see why you could not cut it with a Cricut. You'll have to try and let us know, Liana, what you find out. All right. So
Wendy says that yes, you can. She has done it. You just have to choose a lighter pressure.
Okay. So in case you couldn't hear Matt's response, actually, if you want to pop that comment up on the screen, please.
Yeah.
You can use it with the Cricut. You just need to use a lighter pressure, and that way it will just make sure it doesn't pull and tear at the paper. So thank you for your help. Thank you for your question. I'm going to do a little semi reveal here. So here is what I've done is I've used the stencil over top of the circle. And so, sorry, Matt, can you lean back a second? That stencil is just in that circle area. But you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to do a light layer of that Remember Me over here, just so you can see where the lines of the circle go. Trying not to rip it because I want to use it again. But there you go. So you can do double duty. You can do a stencil as well as the masking paper to create some really fun graphic elements. Okay, and then I said there's also this. So if you wanted to say have a white area, like maybe on a Halloween project where you're creating the moon, this is what you would do. You would use the circle part as long as you can get the paper off. And Matt's laughing at me. All right, here we go. So because I really like that, even if you just want something to protect, I'm doing this just so I don't mess that up. But now it's too curly. There we go. So here is my circle here. And I can create a nice, if I were using the right color, a nice night sky. And voila. So now we have both positive and negative spaces here, all by using that same piece of masking paper. And again, now I'm pulling out all the stamps. Like, wouldn't this look cool with a nice silhouette butterfly? Let's use this little guy in the corner. And I'm actually going to use, not the black, I'm going to use the Midnight Snack. So cool. So cool. I love being able to stamp on layers like that and have it really look dimensional without it actually being dimensional. So if you have to mail a card where you don't want a lot of dimension, but you want some really cool visual dimension, then these inking techniques can really help you. All right, so we've covered just basic masking, we've done stripes, we've done tearing and curves, we've done die cutting and circles. What else do I have to show you? I know what I have to show you. Stamped images. And you're like, what? You're not going to stamp something and cut it out. You're darn tootin' I am. Okay.
You're going to fussy cut?
Well, I'm going to do a quick fussy cut. I'm just trying to make sure I get it. This is the piece that's going down. So you do not want to stamp on the words. You want to stamp on the white surface, which is why it is important that you know which side is which. I'm going to go back. What am I fussy cutting? I am going to fussy cut one of these little bumblebees. And let me just get it stamped and get it going, and I will explain to you what I am doing. With stamped images, a lot of times we don't necessarily, so if I were going to stamp this flower and I want the bumblebee to go with it, you don't always want it off to the side. You sometimes want it to look like it's on top, but maybe you don't have any more paper, or maybe you don't want to die cut, or maybe you just want to create some cool dimension. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stamp this little bumblebee. The thing that goes on the masking paper is always the thing that you want to go in the front, in the foreground. So I want my little bumblebee to be in the front. So I am going to stamp him on the masking paper just like so. The flowers are going to go in the background. Now, when you've got something delicate like this, where he's got the antenna as well, I'm cutting those off. I am not going to try to save them, and just have faith with me. Go with me on this, that it's going to be okay. So just for convenience, I'm going to do that. A little bit easier to work with. And I'm going as close to the line as I can. I'm angling my scissors so that the blade is going right close to the line. I'm not too fussed about it being 100% perfect, but I'm getting as close as I can. I'm going around his little wings. Going around his little wings. And trust me when I say, if something is too delicate for you to get in there and cut, don't do it. It's going to be so small on your finished project that nobody's going to even know. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've not cut in between his little legs here. I didn't get all the way in behind his wings, but that's okay. And I've got his little antenna cut off. Again, also totally okay. I'm going to put him off to the side just for a second. We're going to grab, I was going to say my last piece of cardstock, but it's not. It's my second last piece of cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, let's maybe, I know I said we weren't going to do a finished project, but
you're calling an audible in the middle of the live?
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do this with my little circle here. I'm going to do Guppy, because that's my favorite color of the night, except I've already lost it. Nope, there it is. All right, and just going around, kind of intense near the die cut and kind of blending it out so it's softer to the edges. Okay, and let's go for broke. Let's also do a stripe. So I'm going to do Just like that. Total wing it. But I think this is going to be cool. Make sure it sticks. And then just... Well, maybe I'm not liking this as much as I thought I would in my head, but that's okay. Doop.
That's weird.
You know what? It's not weird. It's creative. And it's just paper. So what have you got to lose, right, folks? Okay. So now I've got a stripe here. And now I'm just getting carried away. Anyways, you know what? Okay. Kind of cool. Move on. All right. So now I'm going to pull this off. This is going to give us our target for where our little bumblebee is going to go. And so now I know I've got my little mask area. Go with me on this. I'm going to stamp my little bumblebee onto my card in full. So I'm going to stamp it off to the side here, like so. All right. Now we come back to our little masked piece. Peel the backing off. Here we go. And I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to cover up my stamped image. Just like so. Now he is nice and protected so that when I go to stamp the flowers, I'm going to clean the black off so that I can do this in a color. Should have cleaned it before, but we'll get this. Okay, so let's do, I'm going to do Remember Me since it's sitting right here. Let me ink up my flowers. And I'm going to stamp this, and it's going to look like I'm stamping right over top of our bumblebee. Do not worry, no bumblebees were harmed in the making of this card. Really hold it down so it's got some good transfer. There we go. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, but what happened to our bumblebee? We're not finished yet. Here we are. Peel it off, and now all of a sudden he looks like he's sitting on top of that flower. And again, if you want to do this again and again, you don't have to get rid of this little mask piece. It will work. Now, do you want me to show you that again without, how about I show that again without all of that ink blending?
Yeah.
Just so you see exactly what it's supposed to look like. Okay, save my mask somewhere safe. Let's try this again. I don't have to redo that mask. It already exists. So I can go like this. There's my bumblebee. The thing that's in the front is the thing that you do first. Now I'm going to put this mask over top and go back to my flowers. And maybe let's not do quite so many flowers this time. Maybe we'll just go here. Make sure it transfers. Get our little mask up. Whoops. Careful not to tear them. And there you go. So even though we stamped him first by covering him up, it now looks like the flowers are behind him. And as you can see, not covering up his antenna really didn't matter. So we didn't have to worry about fussy cutting those. They still just pop up nicely from there. So there, I promised you 3 ways to use masking paper. pretty sure we covered more than that, including boo-boos, including maybe not the wisest choices, but that's how we learn and that's how we experiment. So I don't know, I think this is my favorite for tonight. I think that turned out really well. Let me actually get this sticky mat out of the way, and we'll do one last recap and then call it a night. Matt, can I hand this to you, please? Just put it somewhere safe. So we started by just blocking off a strip with our masking paper and inking around. Oh, is there a question
about your last one? Yeah.
Okay.
When you're doing that bumblebee and the flower thing.
Yeah.
Would you color the flowers before removing the masking bee?
So the question is, would I color the flower before removing the masking paper? I guess the question back to you would be, what are you coloring it with? Personally, I probably would remove the masking paper and then color it. So if I was doing this to use with my Copic markers or even just pencil crayons or something like that, I'm pretty sure that I can be careful around here and not color the bee while I'm coloring the flower. For me personally, watercolors, I tend to be a bit more of a looser watercolor painter. And I don't, because it's not a medium I use all the time, I am a little less in control. So in that case, I might cover up the bee just so that there's no splatters or anything like that. But in general, once you have it stamped, you should be able to color without worrying about going outside the lines. I hope that answers your question.
And I think just maybe to elaborate on that.
Yep.
Does it matter what type of paper you use the mask on?
So does it matter what type of paper we stamp and use the mask on? So again, that if you're doing just stamping like this, and again, coloring with your, so that will really depend on the medium you're using. If you're just using ink like this, then I would say stay with a smoother paper. The masking paper is a low tack paper. However, it does have a tack. So something like a watercolor paper or a softer, like the Vicki Boutin's foundation paper or any of those softer papers, you can still use the masking paper, but you're just going to want to be careful when you're peeling it off. Make sure like if you are watercoloring around it, you want to make sure everything is nice and dry before you peel it, because peeling something that's wet and soft is just going to tear. Having said all of that, what I've mostly shown tonight is ink blending. So I would recommend your Nina, your Prism Studios, anything that is a smooth finish, but you could also do color. Like there's no reason why you couldn't do that moon on black paper with white ink. Just as long as it will accept the ink that you're using, the masking paper should work fine. Diane, maybe the next time you're in the store, you can give us a little more sense of what you were thinking of using it for, and we can talk about it a little bit more. But in general, for stamping techniques, I would use that Nina or that Prism Studios, the smooth coloring paper. All right. Any other questions?
No, we're good.
Okay, recap. We use masking paper to create a solid block of paper, or white paper left behind using ink. And then we did the opposite, where we blocked off areas and did a solid strip of ink. These masking papers can work in lots of different areas. Wherever you want to put it and you want to block off that white, this is where it's going to work for you. You can do stripes. You could put you could put some vertical ones down there, and you can do plaids. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. You can tear it. You can cut it freehand with your scissors or use a die. We did use a circle die, and a lot of those same techniques, creating that little spotlight in the middle, or looks like almost a setting sun with the with the night sky in behind it there. And then you can do the reverse where you block off. You can use that circle mask to block off an area and ink blend around it. And then you can even layer it with a stencil. And then you can just have lots of fun, and you can use them with your stamped images as well. Stamp on the matte side, the white plain side of the masking paper, fussy cut it out, and create some beautiful layers. So this masking paper, personally, I think is a must-have in your crafting stash. Even if you just want to block off areas to make sure you don't make a mess, if you want to create lots of visual layers without necessarily creating physical layers, you can go a long way with one of these packs of masking paper. And like I said, keep your backings so that you can keep your masking paper and use it over and over again. That's it. That was 3 plus probably 3 more techniques for masking paper, and I challenge you to use some of this on your next card or crafting project, and just see where the creativity takes you. Thanks so much for tuning in live. Again, I know it's a beautiful night, and many of you probably jumped in late or are catching us on replay, but thank you for your time. Have fun crafting. Good night.